We're missing somebody, but maybe Kayla will show up any minute. 2 minutes? We'll put her on the spot. So, I was told I was going to host this panel like 2 days ago. So I did my best to prepare. But I wanted to make sense of the people that are on stage and kind of tie it all together for you guys. And so I was asking myself the question, like, what's the thesis? What's the point of this panel? What are we trying to accomplish? And so, this question kept on coming up in my head. What does it take to make it in this industry, right? There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of noise in the real estate industry, but no doubt it's still one of the top money-making industries in this country. There's a lot of successful people in their own right, in their own space, different backgrounds, different skill sets. So, we know that there's more than one way to make it. So today we're going to talk with these 4 fine gentlemen, try to get to know their backgrounds and skill sets, and they've each attained and achieved success not only for themselves, but for a lot of others. So appreciate all of you guys being on this panel today.
Sure.
You're the closest to me, so I'm going to start with you. So you're an investor, you're a commercial real estate guy, you're a whiz. You have a podcast as well called I Own It. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what attracted you to the commercial real estate space versus, say, residential.
So is this thing on? It is. So everyone can hear me. About 3 decades ago, I started Alliance Consolidated Group of Companies in Chicago. That's where I'm from. That's where our headquarters are. I live out here. My office is in Newport Beach. I sit in our West Coast office because it's a lot nicer in the winter. And so it was an easy decision for me. We have built over 12 million square feet of office and industrial and retail around the United States. We've done billions of dollars of transactions throughout the United States in office, industrial, retail. We're one of the largest medical office owners in the United States. So anything that you and your family would go attend, that's what we own as well. We also own veterinarian. We just started a new multifamily division, and then we started a brand new hard money lending division as well. So we also own a lot of tech. We're getting heavily into AI. We're going to be the leaders in commercial real estate using AI. We also are very heavily involved in the blockchain. So we're very advanced, very futuristic. We have a large staff around the United States. So 3 years ago, my leadership team came to me and said, you need to build a personal brand. And I said, I'm on LinkedIn already. And they said, no, you got to get on Instagram. You got to get on TikTok and all these different platforms to promote what we do. And so we built my personal brand. We started a podcast called I Own It. It's now a TV show. We're in our 2nd season. We'll be streaming all over the world. It's all about giving back. It's all about educating our public on business, commercial real estate. How do you get to a certain point? How do you take care of yourself? I'm very into health and wellness when you get to know me. And if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook or the different platforms. And there's a lot of art of how you grow in life. And part of it is we talk about personal development. How do you take care of yourself? How do you balance your emotions? How do you deal with tough negotiations or when things are down? And so that's part of what I do is giving back. And so that's what the personal brand's about. And every day I show up to work, he asks a question, what is the secret to doing that? You have to show up in life. You have to really take it seriously, taking care of your health, getting enough rest. I work out 7 days a week. I'm 54 years old. I'm in great shape.
You don't look it.
Well, thank you. And so part of that is it's the little things you do on a daily basis allow you to create success in your life. And it's those quiet moments when no one's looking that allows you to keep growing and continue to create success in your life. And so when you have a bad day, or maybe things aren't working out like you planned, or maybe a deal didn't work out, if some of you are realtors or some of you are mortgage brokers, you have to keep pushing forward. You have to know that the next day is going to be better. And a lot of that is your mindset and how you treat your body and how you treat your mind. So people ask me, what do I do for health? I meditate twice a day. Before I came here, I was in our West Coast office, closed my door and meditated for 20 minutes just to ground myself, to keep me where I need to be to talk to you all. So that's who I am. Feel free to follow me. We're all about giving value. I have a lot of folks that DM me, and I do reply. It takes some time, but I do reply. And if you're interested in commercial real estate, feel free to follow me because you can really understand what the progression is and how to acquire hard assets.
Yeah, you can give it to me. Robert, you're the founder and CEO of ARC Multifamily. You're probably one of the smartest commercial guys that I personally know. Now, you tend to focus more on the multifamily space. When we talk about commercial, you've got a lot of subcategories. You've got office, you've got industrial, you've got multifamily, you've got medical, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why do you focus more on multifamily?
I started in the residential space. I'm actually one of Drew's business partners in what he does, and I'll let him explain what he does in the luxury space. But when I transitioned to multifamily 5 years ago, I chose it because it was a model that I understood and that I knew had consistent demand. So I was looking for something where I could get better and better at optimizing my business, while I didn't have to worry about where the cheese was moving. Was there going to be customers? Was it going to have, things like office as an example are going through transitional shifts. Multifamily is something that has been around for 50 years and will be around for 50 years. And so that was why I chose multifamily. I built up a investor base in the residential world, moved it over to multifamily, and wanted to scale and give opportunity for those who were, a lot of my clients happen to be. We have 220 investors now at ARC.
I'm one of them, by the way.
Yes, he is.
Full disclaimer.
There's a lot of them in this room, actually. But it's something where I look at the people who are in, specifically they're in commission roles.
Yeah.
Where there's feast, but there's also famine. The opportunity to stack money away, have it grow, responsibly in cash flowing real estate where it's professionally managed, is not only an opportunity for us to scale as a company, but also make an impact on a lot of lives, a lot of families. So that was my impetus.
You mentioned the office space. I know with COVID, the whole theme of work from home became really, really popular. And office space in general, obviously some areas more than others, was impacted. So, the question that I wanted to ask you is, Ben, I'm going to ask this question of you because I know Robert tends to focus more on multifamily. Everyone always needs a roof over their head. To me, that makes sense. But, we see this trend of office space, declining. Do you see any other trends that would maybe impact your investment thesis for the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, when it comes to medical office, the human body is never going out of style. And so that won't change. Multifamily will not change as well what we invest in. When it comes to general office, we pare down our portfolio significantly. I saw this trend coming about 15 years ago. We saw the internet coming on strong. And I think the pandemic really showed us that people want to work from home. We have employees all over the country. And it drives me nuts that we're not in one office. Because when we were in Chicago, we had a large office, we had multiple floors, and we had everyone working in the same office. Now we've had to adjust. And so a lot of companies, whether you're in commercial real estate or any industry, has to adjust with office space. The biggest issue we have is, and where the opportunities, if you want to get into office space, is a lot of foreign capital over the last 10 years have invested in the United States. If you subscribe and read my newsletter, I wrote an article about how foreign investors are buying up the yen at 0% and borrowing against it. And then what they're doing is they're investing in the United States to make yield. And they're grabbing up properties. Well, they own skyscrapers all throughout the entire United States. So you're going to see a lot of empty buildings over the next 18 months. I feel, that's why this election is so important and why people are so focused on it. I'm not going to get political.
All right.
However, where interest rates go, I know we had a rate cut, but we also, my office, we follow inflation. And the United States government is saying it's about 8 to 9%. We project it's about 14 to 15%. So when you're out there and you're going to buy a meal or eggs or groceries or gas, you see what's really impacting the public. And so folks don't want to commute to office space. People don't want to invest more in space because more people want to work either hybrid or remotely. And so office towers that you'll see around the country have a tremendous amount of vacancy. And so what's going to happen is they're going to scale back and you're gonna be able to buy those properties at tremendous discounts. Most people don't know in our business, there's $30 trillion of commercial real estate loans coming due. And that's gonna have a rippling effect. That's coming due in 2025. And so we see what's happening. That's why the banks, when you go get loans, have tightened. They've tightened on what they want to offer you, whether you're buying a home to buying a piece of commercial real estate. It's why you look at US Treasuries that are paying 5% because they want your money in the bank. They're struggling to even loan it out. And so there's been a lack of liquidity in the markets, but there's tremendous amount of opportunities. When there's chaos in the market, these are the best times to buy. I've been waiting for this market for about 4 years, and it's about to come about. And so whether you invest in commercial real estate, we have a lot of people that want to invest with us in our funds in order to invest side by side with experts, or you can go out and buy a piece of commercial real estate yourself. So I was on Dan Fleischman's show today, and he said, well, what do you recommend in starting to get investing if you're young? Put a little money and diversify. Because of inflation is 14, 15%, if you don't invest your money, you're losing money. Keeping your money in the bank, it's that US dollar is deflating. And so you're losing money every day you keep in a savings account.
Historically, real estate's been the best hedge against inflation.
Yeah, if you invest in hard assets, which is real estate, that's the best investment because you get tax benefits, you can earn a decent return, as well as you can kick the bricks and mortar. So if you have disposable income or you're receiving a paycheck and you can put a little bit aside, I would consider investing in whether you're going to invest in a mutual fund, you're going to invest in real estate, whether it's commercial real estate, residential. Do something with your money that will produce cash flow because you are losing money every day you have it sit in the savings account.
Now, I have two commercial guys, extremely brilliant, good at what they do, but I'm going to ask a personal question. You know, Robert, I started investing with you a couple of years ago, and I love the idea of putting the money to work, not having to worry about managing, a bunch of apartments. You have a team already in place. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little bit of apprehension because there's no control, right? So I'm going to ask two commercial real estate guys that have their own funds. For anybody that's looking to invest money with someone that they know don't know very well, what are some of the things that they should be watching out for so they don't get taken? Because this whole idea of raising funds, I mean, the past couple of years has been insane. Everyone around me is raising money to invest in real estate. And half the time you don't even know who the person is on the other end. What advice would you give somebody that's looking to put money to work?
Sure. I would say it's really driven by track record. I think invest in someone who's done it. Make sure that they are, vet them, ask all the hard questions. I think I believe that it's for the average person. Let me reword that. The average investor, it's easier for them to make money than it is for them to make return on their money, because they will, people become experts. We have a lot of mortgage and real estate experts in this room. So if we were talking mortgages or transactional real estate, they know what they're talking about, right? But then when it comes to investing, it's like, they may not know everything, but they also don't necessarily want to do the homework. If you don't want to do the homework and you just want to take an easy approach, I'd buy an S&P index fund, call it a day. The odds of the entire US economy being a fraud is zero, right? But individual investments, you have to do your homework. You really have to make sure that the operator knows what they're doing, that they've got good people on the ground, and that they have track record. If you do your homework, you'll be able to sniff out most things, because most people don't ask questions.
There's a lot of fluff out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a ton of fluff,
Yeah.
right? Make sure, and then the other thing is make sure the business plan is believable, right? If someone's buying something that is too good to be true, then you probably, stay away from it.
Yeah.
I look at alternative investments and some of the stuff that has gone up tenfold in 10 months. I just don't think that is, for me personally, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of that. But if that's the bulk of your portfolio, then when it crashes, because usually what goes up that fast can go up down that fast, you got to have the stomach for it. So I think diversification, knowing the operator, and asking hard questions. And if you don't know what questions to ask,
Yep.
There's absolutely a lot of stuff online that can help coach you on how to talk to someone about a potential investment they're trying to sell you on, before you decide whether it's right for you.
Cool. All right. All right. So let's lighten things up a little bit. That was pretty heavy. So, Kayla, welcome. I think you're the reason why a lot of us are here. So I think a lot of people know you. You're a realtor with the Oppenheimer Group. You're featured on the show Selling Sunset. You're a coach. You're a motivational speaker, and you have a podcast called Pain to Power. So I actually listened to a few of the episodes this week. It was very good. Can you share a little bit about your background, your inspiration, where the term pain to power comes from, and what it means?
Appreciate that. First and foremost, I want to apologize to everyone here that I'm late, everyone on this panel. I am very sorry. That was very rude, but I did get a new listing, so I feel like that's a pretty good excuse. So to answer your question as far as my inspiration, I've always had a passion for people. I always wanted to help people as much as I could. And especially with the podcast and the life coaching, I just felt like that was more of a greater reach for me to reach as many people as possible, as well as it is a more deeper way for me to connect with more people, build more relationships when it comes to my real estate business and everything else I have going on. I think a lot of people know me from the show, Selling the OC, but it is such a minuscule version of what they showed me to be. And I am so much more deeper than that, so much more spiritual than that, and just so much like they just didn't accurately show who I was. So I just felt like, you know what, let me just put myself out there. It's always been on my heart. I did start my podcast back in 2019 before Netflix was even a thing. And, I decided to bring it back. And I love connecting with people and bringing stories out of people and changing and transforming lives.
It's a great story. I got to ask a question though. Was the drama on the TV show, was that genuine, or was that all like for the cameras?
So it is real. That is probably the top question that we get all the time. Unfortunately, they just knew how to pick the right people with the craziest personalities and in most competition with each other and off camera.
When you joined the team, you were newer to the industry, right?
Correct.
Did that play into any of the tension? Did any of the more seasoned agents kind of doubt you? Did they give you a hard time because you're a newbie?
Oh, yeah. They doubted me the entire time. And of course, I proved them wrong. I actually ended up selling the biggest listing throughout the entire selling franchise.
24.5 million, I think.
24.5 million.
Congratulations.
And that was actually real, not staged.
Good. So was that doubt, did that fuel you, or did that weigh you down? Was that motivation for you?
That definitely fueled me, because I have been told I'm not good enough, smart enough, anything enough my entire life. So for me, it was just like, ever since I was a child, to be honest, I've always felt like I had to prove myself. And just, the more they were just trying to push me down or knock me down, I was like, yeah, keep going, because that's what keeps me going.
When I listened to your podcast, I got a sense that faith is an important part of your life, in this chapter of your life. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that question. It is very important to me. It is the number one most important thing in my entire life. And I just came to God for the first time a year ago. It's actually a year this month. Praise God. So, again, it's like what the show showed. It was, I call it my BC, before Christ. So it was very important for me to just like show the transformation. It is cringe to go back and knowing that side of you, that part of you is out there forever in the world on TV. But I think it's also important to show people the transformation, especially when you have that newfound relationship with our Lord.
Good. Thanks for sharing that. All right, Dan, I'm going to come to you next. So I've got a pretty long list of accomplishments. You're an investor, entrepreneur, brand expert, co-founder of the 100 Million Mastermind Experience. You've got a podcast called Money Mondays. I like Kayla's podcast a little bit better. No, I'm just kidding. Yours is good. You've got like 2 decades of entrepreneurship. You've done really well for yourself. So you've got plenty of business ventures you're involved with. What's the attraction to the mortgage lending? I mean, it's a really painful, highly regulated industry that we're in. Is this like your version of a midlife crisis? What's the?
So in each category, I've been doing partnerships under the Elevator brand. So Elevator Studio, we spend $60 million with influencers for brands, products, and mobile apps. We then invested through Elevator Syndicate. We have 960 investors. We throw Elevator Nights, which is a free event. We've thrown 54 times for free over the years. Throwing an all-women's event next Sunday for our 55th event. And so the Elevator brand, I just keep doing and attaching things to. Here in the room, the gentleman from Cardiff Bank, they've done $8 billion in loans. They average $250 million a year in loans. So we have Elevator funding. And we've done, I think, 15 million in approved loans so far this year through Elevator funding, backed by the gentleman that, are you guys here? They're here in the room somewhere, from Cardiff. And under the same brand name will now be the mortgage company, because we're already spending so much money to go to elevatorfunding.com. I'm always posting about elevatorfunding.com. And so now the mortgage company, when you go to the website, we're going to add on this week application for mortgages and all things related to the mortgage space. And so being partnered with you and Joseph through eMortgage Capital, that allows me to have the back end process for all of it. I'm not going to go try to reinvent the wheel and start a mortgage company. That sounds like a nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
Right. But you guys have done billions and billions of loans. You did $2.8 billion in loans last year. So for me to piggyback off of you guys being the back end, I go hire a CEO who's here in the room. Hopefully she becomes the CEO of the company. I hire loan officers. We already have a ton of applications for loan officers to come work with us. I just build front-facing people that I know in my space that I'm friendly with to help me run it. If I can get Leon Cook, people that I know that are close in the real estate game to help me front-facing, and I have eMortgage Capital behind it. That's interesting to me because I can make it famous. I can bring in relationships. I can get people in the real estate game. I had a real estate mastermind for many years. Like I've been deep in the real estate space from the social level, but never anything more than an investor. And so now, even in this situation, I'm not the operator, right? I bring on a CEO, bring on executives, bring on loan officers, and then have eMortgage Capital manage the entire back end part of the headaches, right? The hard part. That's your job.
I don't get paid enough. But you're a social media branding expert. Like maybe speak on how important having a personal brand is in today's era. It seems like it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You need to set yourself apart. Having a personal brand is important.
So everyone in this room, you have a personal brand, whether you like it or not. That's how your friends think about you, coworkers, staff, neighbors, strangers. They all think about you in some fashion. It's up to you to decide if you're going to tell your story or let them gossip about you. And so the personal brand part of it is just showcasing your real life. We make it seem so overwhelming to do social media. There's 6 major platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads. I got to do all these different things You only need to make one piece of content and then repurpose that same photo or video on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, etc. But we make it feel so overwhelming. What posts am I going to make? What content am I going to make? I mean, you're here in an event. You can make 3, 4, 5 videos tonight with people in this room. You could take a bunch of different photos with fun people here in this room. Now you've got 10 pieces of content from one night out that you were already going to. And then tomorrow when you go play pickleball or basketball, make some photos and videos. And then on Wednesday night, when you go to date night, take a photo, take a video. On Thursday night, when it's ladies' night and you and your 4 girlfriends go to dinner, take some photos and videos. Just, you have the nicest camera in human history with you 24/7. You have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. that are free. It costs you nothing, money-wise or time-wise, to make social media content. But if you do it, and you do the basic things that I just said, you'll go from 300 followers to 360, 360 to 500, 500 to 1,000, etc. You don't have to have hundreds of thousands of followers. Having a few thousand followers in your category, in your niche, or following along in your brand will lead to partnerships, investments, events, charity, friendships, so many things just from posting about your real life from your phone that you already own on the platforms that are free.
If I can make an observation, I'm not really huge on social media, but trying to prepare for this, trying to understand who it is I'm talking to. I did go on your social media. I did look at some of your videos. A lot of them aren't perfect, but I don't think they're designed to be perfect, right? I don't think that's the goal. You want to speak on that? Like for anybody that's hesitant, that says, well, the reason why I'm not on social media is because if it's not perfect, I don't want to put it out.
Perfect is not relatable. When you see the perfect post and you see the perfect photoshopped image, that is not relatable. Imagine I'll give you a quick example. So let's say I'm standing next to a baby, and this baby's in this chair and she's got cereal and holding the spoon, and the milk is glistening, and the baby's smiling. In this picture over here, the baby has the same bowl of cereal launched off that chair. The spoon is flying through the sky. The mom is like, ah! That's relatable. This will get 800 to 1200% more engagement than this perfect post that people are gonna be like, psst, yeah, right.
Well, your baby is really cute. I saw it.
Nice, but
Congratulations.
she's not gonna sit perfectly like that. The point is that the relatable content, like you showcasing your real life from your phone, your iPhone or Android, will convert at 400 to 600% higher than a fancy video on a camera. So that camera video, literally that camera, if we made a video right now and we posted it, and I posted the exact same video from my phone, I'll have 400 to 600% higher engagement than that fancy camera. Just the way the algorithm works and the way our human minds work. As we're scrolling through social media, when we see a fancy video with lightning and fireworks and unicorns, it looks like a commercial.
We like bloopers.
Bloopers. That's why TMZ crushes it, National Enquirer crushes it, reality TV show crushes it, because we want people to feel real. Even when some things are fake on a reality show, for example, it makes us feel better. The reason that National Enquirer crushes it, even though we know it's a lie, right? Michael Jackson doesn't have 3 heads. Just hate to break it to you. He doesn't have 3 heads. And Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie broke up 12 years ago. They still put these fake articles 12 years later. It makes humans feel better. Perfect is not relatable. That drama, that reality show, those type of things is what people are engaging with at the highest level because that's relatable or interesting to them. Whereas when you see the perfectly scripted thing or the perfectly photoshopped thing, that's not relatable to us.
Good input. Thanks. All right, Drew, you next. You're a superstar realtor. You're an investor. You're the founder of Sky Coastal Estates. You build beautiful homes. You're one of the smartest real estate agents I know, and I know a lot of realtors. And you're extremely knowledgeable. I have a lot of respect for you because you take pride in your craft. You're also very fashionable. And by the way, here's another thing I know about you. You don't have a podcast.
That's true. I
So
do
think
not have a
maybe you and I should
podcast.
partner up.
We gotta,
We'll
let's
Mr.
do it.
Fashionable, Mr. Fashionably late.
Let's do it. We'll call it Rhyme and Reason. How about that?
So, tell me a little bit about, I know your story, but tell me a little bit about your story and how you got into the biz.
Which part of the business?
Real estate in general.
Yeah, so inspired by my stepdad when I was 5, 7 years old, seeing him build homes. And then that kind of stopped and I got inspired by other things in life and then kind of came back to it when I was like 18, 19 and got into the business when I was 20, 21 and asked for a job, became his assistant, basically made no money, got coffee, took notes, reviewed every day after hours with my dad. The questions that I had, he made me do spreadsheets by hand, made me read specific plans, planning documents, and kind of write memos and, as Dan said, write a business plan. And I learned how to write a business plan, and that kind of catapulted me through the Great Depression, if you will, of 2008. Raised a bunch of money, did foreclosure real estate, bought and flipped, turned 10 million into 75 in 3 years, and then became a realtor because I was giving business to realtors that were super thirsty and not actually representing my fund's interest. And then after that, got lucky enough to meet this guy while being a realtor, made him quite a bit of money, made Joe quite a bit of money, and basically started Sky Coastal Estates and became an operator. And now we build big, beautiful homes in Newport Beach, Corona Del Mar. Yeah. There's a lot more to that, by the way, that I'm missing and skipping over, but I don't want to bore you with all the details.
So one thing I do know about you is that you're very consistent. You've been able to navigate the market and still maintain, a decent amount of business. You've got a great reputation. For a lot of agents, especially in this market that we're in, it's hyper competitive. How do you maintain that consistency? For any realtors that are out there, what advice would you give them?
My biggest thing from being on a TV show to the consistency through the marketplace was just being me. Be original, be yourself, and have faith that who you are is good enough. And if you're in a room where you feel that you're not good enough, find a different room. Challenge yourself, of course, but find new friends, find a different place, and seek that space where you feel that you are at home. And what I found is that as I learned and I was in rooms, and I still am in rooms where I still don't feel good enough or what have you. I think we all do. Is I just learned to who I was and to be myself. And my consistency comes from, having a fundamental foundation in Christ. I'm a big believer in that. Being backed by a really wonderful woman who's my wife. She's the power behind the punch. Having a strong family foundation, and understanding that, I don't know it all, to ask more questions, speak less, listen more. And that really helped my consistency. If there was somebody that was more intelligent than me, such as the guy sitting next to me, ask a lot of questions and be teachable. If you're a real estate agent, you're new in the business, be very teachable, be a sponge of information, but go and apply that information to the marketplace, and throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. Like, do not be scared. My consistency also is having faith to go knock on a door of a $10 million house and say, look, I'm a realtor, I can sell your house for this, and here's my background, here's my intelligence, and here's my marketing plan and my business plan, and let's go do it. That person giving you a chance, and then learning how to market yourself and continuing on, so on and so forth.
Dumb it down for me. What advice would you give somebody? And I ask this question because I know I have a lot of realtors in the audience. For somebody that's either starting out or maybe been in the business for a while, but just isn't achieving the level of success that they need. Give me like 2 or 3 simple takeaways that they can do starting tomorrow to gain the level of success that you've achieved.
Social media, create your brand, as Dan said. Create a really big brand. Whatever you're doing, whether it be a lease listing or a sale or a business meeting, let people know that you are actually a realtor. Like, most of the people that you follow, or they know you as friends or what have you, but as again, Dan said, and he nailed it, those people in your sphere of influence need to know what you do for a living. Make sure that they understand that you're a realtor and that you take this serious and this is your job. So I would say, yeah, build your own brand, just starting there, like with your phone. Let people know what you're doing. If you're going to a meeting or a listing appointment, like Kayla, your story is fantastic, by the way. And, just tell your story the right way. The other thing too is utilize your sphere of influence. You have no idea if somebody that knows somebody that's interested in leasing or selling or buying or investing. Call as many people as possible and say, yo, I'm a realtor. This is what I do. I'm taking this serious. You may know me in this space, but I'm in this space now. And if there's any direction that you can, lead me in that or guide me in that. The biggest thing though is find a mentor. Find somebody that has what you want. Go and ask them like, hey, can you please, teach me? And if they say no, don't go and say, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Go and say, look, this is who I am. And there's people in this room that have done that with me. This is who I am. This is where I'm at. Can you help me? And the answer to that is yes. Find a mentor who's willing to pour into you specific things, but actually do what they tell you to do. And you're going to be successful and you will stay consistent. And your mentors will, of course, change.
Kayla, I'm going to round it out to you. Same question. What advice would you give somebody that's either starting in the business or is trying to kickstart it?
Man, I'm going to have to piggyback on what he just said. It is incredibly important to start working and being mentored by someone, but someone that is like high producing so that you're out on the field and very hands-on, not those places that you go in, those brokerages where they have like some guy with a big ego is teaching a class and you're writing notes. No, you have to be out there. You have to be doing the open houses. You have to be doing the contracts and all of it. That is the fastest and best way to learn. And of course, keep learning every single day. These guys are legends, but I'm sure you guys are still learning every day, right? Because
every day.
And so the market's always changing. So if you're not okay with change, maybe you should look into something else. You have to be okay with change and evolving and learning and always being the student. That is incredibly important.
Dan, I'm going to have you round it out. So, I was having this conversation with Alex before the event started, right? There's a lot of content out there. I say there's an atrophy of attention. You're being pulled in 100 different directions all the time. Putting content out that's authentic, that speaks to who you are, is a great first start. Any other takeaways, anything else that you can give to somebody that's trying to attract the audience of a customer or whomever?
So the key things is to make social media content for the user, for the watcher, for the follower, not for yourself and your own ego. Once they've proven to you that they click the follow button, they're already in your ecosystem, you don't need to pat yourself on the back. Teach them, make them laugh, show them something interesting, show them your real life, make them have an emotional attachment. It'll create top of mind awareness. By showcasing your world, what you're good at, what you like, what you enjoy, they will feel an emotional attachment. I'll give you a quick example. So let's say I'm at dinner with you tonight, and Joseph's there, and they're like, you know
He's
what?
paying.
What's that?
He's paying.
For sure. And let's say at this dinner, you're like, you know what? We want to buy 16 units in San Diego, California. And I'm like, oh, I know this great guy. You're like, oh, interesting. Well, this guy, every single Monday night, he takes his girl out for date night, 7 p.m. And on Tuesdays at 8 a.m., every single day, he takes the kids to school. Also on Tuesdays at 3 p.m., picks the kids up from school, takes them to ice cream. Wednesday night, no matter what, he takes his mom out. It's really sweet. Takes her out to this little date night with his mom. And on Thursdays, him and his boys always go play basketball. Thursday night, 8 p.m. at 24 Hour Fitness right over here. On Friday night, all the neighbors come over and they have a potluck dinner. This guy's super cool, bro.
Dan, you sound like a stalker.
So on Saturdays, all the kids go to soccer, and then on Sundays he takes them to church. And you guys are like at dinner, like, wow, how long have you known this guy? I'm like, well, I actually don't know him. I've just been following him on Instagram. And then I group DM you and Joseph with this real estate agent who has no idea who I am. You buy a 16-unit complex for $3 million. He makes 3%, makes $90,000, and he has no idea who I am.
Yeah, me too.
That's a personal brand. He created an emotional attachment that led to top of mind awareness. So you said San Diego real estate, and I thought of that person. I drove by 16 different billboards that said #1 real estate agent, #1 real estate agent, #1 real estate agent, and none of them were the same person. And I can't remember any of their names. But I can remember pickleball, hanging out with their friends, date night, church. I have an emotional attachment to that person that just showcased their real life. So if you showcase your personal brand, you will build an emotional attachment that leads to top of mind awareness.
I like that. Well, that's it, folks. So I want to thank the panel for your time. You guys are very successful.
All right, these guys are all superstars. I am hoping you guys took a lot of mental notes, but the biggest thing I want you guys to take away is like, don't just listen to these people, okay? Just because that's useless. Like, take action, take immediate action. They're all giving you nuggets of wisdom. You got billions and billions of dollars on this stage right here, so take action. Don't just let this go to waste. We are going to take a break for dinner and some cocktails, and then we'll adjourn here.